another portion of this show is not just to give Mallory and I think if you know us, I think you will know whether we're on the mic or off the mic, we're best friends. That's not something we try to hide at all. But the goal of this is to highlight local sports reporters, specifically female reporters across this state. This state is huge. There are tons of markets out here, and we want to make sure that people understand, a lot like Dr. Elza was saying, is that this isn't just for us to get on here and BS with each other and have a lot of fun. Some of it, well, yeah, a little bit, but a big thing is to make sure to hype up the other women in this state. And so in doing that, we just broke down those regions. I put it out there on Twitter and was like, hey, if you're a female sports reporter in Texas, go ahead and send me the name of your station, where you're at. And we had a really good response. And then Matt Stepp sent me a couple of the writers. I can't say I'm as in tune with the writing scenario because we do a lot of video stuff. But we want to highlight some of the female reporters, writers, and photographers. Do not forget about the photographers. There are women out there grinding. And you want me to be honest, they might be grinding more than any of us. Because have you seen the conglomerate of cameras that they have strapped across them?
They got to do that, and they do anything to get the best shot. Whether that's on their backs, like laying up, like looking into a mosh podge of football players, or on their stomach, you know, in the end zone trying to get the best shot. They literally grind. They do anything possible to get the best shot ever, and that takes a lot of hard work and dedication. Like, you have to be willing to put out the work to be a photographer in sport. I guess in any photographer, but especially in sports, because you got to be willing also to get hit. Like, you got to be willing to get hit with a football, a basketball, because you are in the nitty gritty of the sport if you're a photographer.
Well, and that's the other thing. I mean, when you want to transition over into even being a writer too, like everyone wants to say that, you know, newspapers are dead or whatever. I mean, they're out there fighting the good fight in any stretch. That's male, female. Anyone working for a newspaper is out there fighting the good fight. And then on top of that, when you want to talk about a reporter, when we're going down into the local level like this with a lot of the reporters that we're going to talk about today, they're not just reporters. They're MMJs, which if you don't know is multimedia journalists. So that means they shoot all their own stuff half the time. The camera is bigger than most of these women. So they're out there lugging around these massive cameras like a badass, to be honest with you. And then they're shooting all their own stuff. They're writing all their own stuff. They have to continue to make their makeup look perfect. And then they're over there editing it. And they all have to be there on a deadline. So these women are straight up badasses. And I'm not scared to say that. So we'll go ahead and we'll get to it here. Some of the highlighting we want to do. I'll read off the first 5 and then Mallory will handle the rest. First off, Amy McDaniel. It's at WTX Scribe. She's with the San Angelo Standard Time. So if you're over there in that Concho Valley, Miss Amy McDaniel has you covered. Up next, Annie Rice. It's at Annie Rice _photos with the Lubbock Avalanche Journal. She was kind of down in the Victoria, Corpus area-ish. She was all over that South Texas area and then moved up to Lubbock. So they got an absolute score up there.
I had the pleasure of meeting Annie this week at Big 12 Media Days in person. So it was really cool. I'm like, hey, where to mention you? I really hope you're watching. But yeah, she's awesome. She's fantastic.
Then we have Ariel Schaefer. It's at Ariel _Schaefer, and she's at KLBK in Lubbock out there in West Texas. Ashley Moore. It's at Moore Ashley E. KWTX over there in Tyler, heading out to Beast, Texas. Then we have Miss Bella Michaels. It's at Bella Michaels 23. She is with KRGV down there in the Rio Grande Valley. So I was going to say, this is a very good, spread out little group that we had in those first ones.
Let's go to the next group. First up, we have Felicia Cardenas, yes, at FELISD Deportes. Yeah, at KCN in Central Texas. We have Kinsey Lee at Kinsey Lee TV at KTN Texoma. She was also at Big 12 Media Days. I saw her grinding out there. So if you're in the Texoma area, make sure to tune into her every night. I believe they're on every night. Yeah,
she took over after Remy left. Yes, shout out to our girl. I know she's going to be listening to this. She's up in Michigan now doing what she loves back in her home state. So shout out Remy too.
Yeah. Lauren Cottrell at _Lauren Cottrell at KLBK in Lubbock. So if you're looking for your Lubbock news, I know she does a lot of basketball at Texas Tech. I've seen her do a couple of games out there. So if you're a big Texas Tech fan, make sure to tune in.
Yeah, so that's 2 women on here from KLBK, which is awesome.
Yes. Up next, we have Leah. I'm not even going to try and say her last name.
We absolutely love you.
Names. in the first place. I'm bad at names in the first place.
And Leah's going to understand, too, because Leah's a writer, so she never has to, like, a lot of people don't have to say her name out loud. So, Leah, our girl, we stand. You're in our area, too, up here in the DFW.
Dallas
but
Morning News.
She is completely used to that, I'm sure.
I can't even imagine. And then up last, we have Rachel Phillips at Rachel_KVIA at KVIA in El Paso. So if you're in that area, make sure to tune in. Does she do high school football, I assume, over there? And she does it all?
Yep.
I'm sure she does.
El Paso and the Las Cruces area. So, they've got all of it covered out there.
Yeah.
Up next, we have Miss Raven Ray. It's Raven Ray TV. She's out of KTAB and KRBC in Abilene. So if you're looking for some big country news, Miss Ray has you covered.
I have such a hard time saying those. I'm like, KTAB. Like, I got to slow it down because I'm like...
And to peel the curtain back a little, like, when I was typing all of these out, I had to, like, make sure I was, like, really hitting where I was supposed to, because I was like, that's a lot of very important letters that when you get them messed up, you somehow end up in Des Moines, Iowa, and it's like, sorry.
I know.
And then here's one of our lovely photographer ladies, Renee Marler. She tweets out at our Gunner and at our Salina. So she basically is the team photographer for Gunner and Salina. We want to also make sure to give a shout out to our lovely Miss Becca Egger, who also helps take some photos out there at Gunner. She shot the gatefold cover of the 63rd edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football with our sock cover. So shout out to all our lovely ladies out there. Then we have Miss Robin Hearn, Robin Hearn TV. She's at KAUZ. Step said he considers her more in the Wichita Falls area. Their station says they cover kind of Texoma.
Here we go with regions.
She's up in the greater part of the literal North Texas. Here we go. We already are starting fights, which is what we like to do around here. Then of course it's our good friend Darby Brown, at Darby Joe Brown out of KWTX in Waco. She was at Big 12 Media Days. I
gave her a hug. We got to talk a little bit about our podcast too, and make sure to tell her, hey, we're gonna have you on soon, so make sure you expect. Yeah,
she commented on my Instagram photo, and she's like, "Oh, this is awesome." I was like, "Be expecting a phone call."
You.
Then we have Sabrina Hoover. It's at SAHoove 1214. She's at KLST in San Angelo. And
last up, we have Larissa Liska, I believe it's Liska, at Larissa Liska on Twitter. She works at KRIS in Corpus Christi, way down there. So if you're up to date on your Corpus Christi news, I'm sure you have been following her.
That's a lot of stadiums with palm trees, so I respect it.
I've always been super interested in people that go to like Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, or I bet they're on the beach
my best friend from back home graduated back there. It was awesome.
Yeah, I bet they're in Texas A&M Galveston too. I've always been
get sick of sand, is what they say. They're like, it's great until you live there.
There's no, I can't get sick of sand. There is absolutely no way. Yeah, I knew somebody from high school who went to Texas A&M Galveston, and she studied like marine biology of it. And I'm like, dang, that sounds pretty dang cool. Up next, we have Sapphire
Cervantes.
Please, thank you. At Sapphire C98 on Twitter. She works at KBMT in Beaumont, Texas. Up next, we have Shelby Rhodes at Shelby Elaine 13. I had to get up
there's a double E in there. I
E.
typed it on my sheet that I had, and then I made sure to go back to her Twitter and double check that I didn't accidentally fat finger the E.
Yeah.
So
yes,
it is Shelby E Lane 13
at KSAN in San Angelo out there in West Texas. Another up next we have Tanaya T. I'll say.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how to.
Dude, we saw Tanaya at 7-on-7. We gave her some rides across the thing, and I was like, I ain't even gonna try. She already knows we're girls. We gave her lifts in the the golf cart.
Yeah, at KAVU in Victoria, she was out there grinding at 7-on-7. Yeah, she had to go. I don't know if you guys know the layout of 7-on-7, but there are fields everywhere. And if you're gonna try and walk from field 1 all the way to field 14, it may take you 3 hours. I'm not even
legitimately,
especially in like 100-degree weather where you have to sit down and like take a break for a bit.
She was one of those I was talking about. Like the camera and the tripod are bigger than her. She's teeny tiny.
She is very tiny.
We're like,
girl, we'll give you some rides. Don't worry about that.
You're not lugging that thing all the way.
No, absolutely not. And last but not least, we have Miss Clara Sandoval at Clara LMT Sports. She works for the Laredo Morning News. Is she a writer, I assume?
Yeah, Laredo Morning Times.
That was also something that we talked about at Big 12 Media Days. There are not a lot of female sports writers out there.
No, that's why I went and asked up.
When we find one, I love it because it's just so different. It's so interesting to learn, kind of their background and what got them into writing instead of, the typical on camera or behind the camera kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So.
No, that's why I legitimately, I was like, hey, I got in the Slack and I asked Steph, I was like, okay, I need writers because I'm just not as well versed.
Right.
But yeah, so there you go. So again, we just wanted to make sure that we showed y'all how serious we were about this. Of our goal every week is to get one of those females, to get someone other female, to get even males out there on and make it this community thing. We talk about the Texas high school football media mafia so often, and we genuinely mean that. But we are very, very excited to be able to highlight those women and the incredible work that they're doing. And I'm going to tweet out all those graphics. So if you want to go back, if you're in one of those areas, whether it be Laredo or San Angelo or over there in East Texas, I hope that you will genuinely follow them if you're in that area and look for their updates, and they'll be out there grinding just like us on Friday nights. So we're incredibly excited to hopefully have a lot of them join us each week as we're making our way through WTF.